So I'm just documenting what I went through for the past year and a half. Since I learned what gang stalking is. From one end to the other. Now, it doesn't matter if people don't believe me. Like when it comes to gang stalking being a real corporation that the government uses to just keep track on people, see what they're doing. And also, the thing they're not telling you is they're also searching to see what people lie about and what they tell the truth about. So in other words, the government's still actually looking for people that are telling the truth. It's kind of ironic, ain't it? That they lie so much, but they want to hear truth. So it started about a year and a half ago. It started with my wife recognizing it before I did. And because I'm open-minded, I didn't just rule it out like, oh, you're crazy, honey. Yeah, right. The bed, Bowie's bed's moved a foot to the right side. Yeah, right. I could have been like most people in the world and just, you don't want to believe it. You don't want to believe it. But then when other things start happening, like my wire gets clipped, my camera, it was a wired camera system, and the window latch being opened up, and well, you can say, yeah, but Rob, it's probably your son. He probably was sneaking out at night. Yeah, no, that's not it either, because if he goes out somewhere, he's going to tell me where he goes, and there's no restrictions, you know what I mean, except for the obvious. So I started to experience that, and then they were coming into my house. They were turning off the they were flicking the alarm, because it was a Harbor Freight alarm system. You know, the kind you put on the door, if it opens up, the alarm goes on, and then you gotta reset it. You can flick the switch off to shut the alarm off, and then flick the switch back on to put the alarm back on again. And that's what they were doing. But when we were going into the house, the alarm wasn't activated. It was set on, it wasn't activated. Because you have to activate the alarm. You can flick the switch on, but you have to activate it. They didn't have the ability to activate the alarm that I set up, because I was testing to see if they were getting in my house. Obviously they were, because when you leave your house purposely to set that booby trap just to see if they're coming in. And so me and my wife, we set it. She went to work, which was right around the corner, but they know that she's in there for all those hours straight. And as soon as I'm heading off to the normal route, it's exit, entry into your home. This happens. It is absolutely 100% a fact that it happens. Now, how often it happens, Steve had a good point. It really does depend on what you're doing as to how much you get targeted. So at that point, I was battling back with the organization, and I was driving around searching for these people to expose them. And I think I did a fairly decent job of at least showing unusual behavior by the people that I'm filming, and you can kind of take it from that point and then make your own decision. Like, is that real? Is that really how? Well, that is pretty odd that they would do 4 U-turns within like 4 minutes. That is, and everyone aimed their headlights right in my face as they were turning around. That's just one example, but there's others. There's plenty of videos I've made that shows the unusual behavior. So that does happen. They do come into your house, and they do target you. And they might even target me even more because I'm spilling the beans on the whole organization, how it works from my 1.5 year experience, what I went through, okay? All I can tell you is this: nothing ever happened. No, they did a lot of things. Nothing ever happened. They never touched me with a finger. They never touched anybody in my family with a finger. Up here is where they're trying to get us. Because there's videos about on YouTube, obviously it's you know, there's people that get paid to go on there to continue to instill the fear. Because when you go and research gangstalking, if you come across a plant's channel that's purposely putting fear there for you, saying like, yeah, man, it's the one guy came to my house last night and he almost stabbed me and my wife in the bed. And then watch, that'll happen tonight with me. But I don't care, because no, I care, but I don't care to say the things that, oh my God, don't say that, Rob, that you're to jinx yourself. Jinx. There is no jinx. It's not a jinx. It's not luck. It's not good luck. It's not bad luck. Everything is what it is in the world. The circumstances that you remember when things good happen that you just can't understand, you'll call it luck. When bad things happen you just can't understand, you'll call it bad luck. Maybe it's happening because you don't understand. Maybe good things are happening because you do understand. It's either one or the other. And that literally is how simple it is. But you have to go through the motions first. I can only tell you I went through the 1.5 years. The motions going through that, the emotions that I had inside that went from rage to whatever, you know? That is the ultimate, whether anybody believes that gangstalking is real or not. I went through it believing it's real. I altered my life around it. Me and my wife, we altered our life around it. She quit the first job that she had when this first started, and then stayed home to watch the house. And we were still able to pay the bills. Not much more than that, but whatever. And then I think she took off for like 3 months, and then and I just worked. And then she went and got the job to work, in the afternoon. So when I get home from work, then she goes to work, and then I watch the house. And then when I'm at work, she watches the house. And this is the way it was going. And when Karen was there, we had more freedom to do whatever we wanted. And anytime my son would agree to stay home without forcing him to, he would. And then me and my wife could go wherever we wanted to. In the beginning, before that, we could go wherever we wanted to anyway. But here's the point. I didn't want them in my house anymore. It was making her sick because we knew that they were coming in. They were leaving their clues, but you can't prove it. So whatever. These are the proofs that I am saying that I can prove, but you can't prove that in a court of law. I can just prove to you what their tactics are, and the ones that came into my house would agree and say, yes, that's exactly what we did do. That's what they will do in the end when everybody tells the truth, and then everybody will know that that was real, because it is validation. The truth in the end, when the people are out there saying it now and they're being battered down because of it, just stick with saying it. It'll come out where everybody knows. It will. So now, after the 1.5 years, yesterday was the first day that I left the house unoccupied, and I left for about 45 minutes or so, to a half hour, 45 minutes. I made the video, and then it took like 17 hours to upload, but you know, whatever, you know, it's normal these days. And so you go through the period of absolute disgust, sickness, that the government can just get away with this, and how cops are involved, and how your neighbors are involved. I just drove down the street, the typical neighbor that comes out as I go up my street and I'm gonna make a right. There's a house right there that I have to look at every time I drive. So I can see the mom on her phone, and then the 3 kids, and then it's like, and action, and then the kid walks up and sits out like on the front more to try to get my attention. The guy does the same thing. One time, it was hilarious. He was wearing a mask, like a Michael Myers mask or something. When my wife, I wasn't there, but it was hilarious, the story, because it made her laugh. And that was like the turning point where we realized that these gang stalkers actually have a sense of humor, you know. And so he wore the mask, and she looked at him and just started cracking up. And she, at that point, and he looks like Derek from A Glop of Truth. He looks just like you, Derek. It's funny, like this old hillbilly. And so she thought that was pretty funny. And then after that, it was kind of like the turning point. And Justin has always tried, as far as I can remember, once he realized the gang stalking, to talk to the gang stalkers. And I never said that wasn't a good idea. Never said that wasn't a good idea, because that's what loving your enemies means. You cannot believe that gang stalking is real, but in our hearts, we know it's real, and this is how we handle it. And in the end, which is coming up with just the end of the lies. The end of the lies is coming up, and you'll all find out the truth then. And that's the best part about it, is I can say a lot of things that people do not believe because you don't want to think about it. Some people have closed minds. A closed mind is somebody that is not willing at all to change their mind. So if you're not willing at all to change your mind because you think you have all the information, you're wrong. You don't. Nobody does. So having an open mind helped me to understand what's going on in this world. I didn't have to believe anything that I was told in the beginning, and I didn't. Gang stalking is whatever, until you go through it. And then because I went through it, I documented a lot of videos about it. I talked about it extensively. Among every other topic imaginable in the world is what I talk about. If subs have videos that they send, sometimes I'll watch them and I'll do a video about something that's good, because it's good information. So my channel's never been about one individual topic or agenda. Alright, so now going through that entire phase, it was like a 360, okay, because I started minding my own business. I started minding my own business before I even got on YouTube, and then when I got on YouTube, after 6 months or so, I started to realize I'm being gang stalked. This is crazy. Because in November 2017, I did the Walmart video, and I didn't think they were gangs. I didn't know anything about gang stalking. I didn't hear about it. I didn't. So that's why it's titled Spotting Security Guards, and I even misspelled guards. But apparently that didn't matter. I could have put spotting gang stalkers in Walmart, but I didn't know anything about it, so I called them guards. Not only a couple months later is when I started to catch on, in the beginning of 2018. Because 2017 in November, that's when I got the attention of a lot of people with a lot of different things. Mainly the Walmart videos, but at the same time, the sky opening and closing. Because that's at like 500,000 views, or maybe more. I haven't seen it in a while. The Walmart video is 2.5 million, and there's a couple other sky videos, and then the Richie from Boston video when I was driving my car selling stuff. I believe that was in November too. Maybe it was at a point when I thought I was getting shut down, so I'm like, you know what? Let me just do this before I get shut down. And then that was in November, I believe, of 2017. So I started to realize I'm being gangstalked at that point, because before that I probably wasn't. Maybe I was being watched, surveilled to an extent, but gangstalked, no, I wasn't aware of that. So I'm gonna say that I became severely gangstalked when I started opening up my mouth. I mean, that's what happens. You open up your mouth, you get stalked. That's the government trying to shut you the hell up. When you don't shut the hell up, they take an interest in you, like, wait a minute, this guy's not afraid of us. That is odd. He knows we're going to kill him and he don't care. He's going to continue to do what he's doing. That's pretty peculiar about that person over there. I wonder how many of them are there. I wonder if there's like 143,999 others of him on social media. Well, let's go find out. So only Steve knows that. Let's just say this. The fact is, Steve and James Deshawn, his job was to find out the 144,000. Whether you want to say which side he's on, doesn't matter. The fact is that what he will agree with is, yes, he is there to find 144,000, to come with him. What you would think come with him means would be different than what the reality is. So, and I went from one end of thinking a certain way to the complete other, back to the way it was when I was minding my own business, with a double portion of all that knowledge that came with the YouTube world that I stepped into. So thank God for that. Thank God for Obama making me sick by interrupting my sports games and everything. So that's what got me up and just started to search in the Bible back in 2015. And then all of 2016 was me trying to write letters and deliver the information to my neighbors and everybody on my email list, and just every which way that I thought I could, but mainly my own neighborhood, my block, the neighbors behind me, neighbors beside me, like that area. So now I don't know who read those 6 pages that I wrote, and then the 1 page afterwards, the 6 pages back on October 7th, 2016, and then that 1 page on April 9th, 2017. And I don't know who actually read it, but at least they got a chance to read it. And I'm sure at least one person out of the 40 houses that are on my block, on the left side and the right, so my immediate street, Black Horse Drive, there's 40 houses there. I'm pretty sure it's 40. At least it gave them a chance to read the warning. And I let people know that it was all fake news back then. I let them know about North Korea, Russia, and China blowing us up on TV bombs. Today's the 5th of July, 2019. Nothing happened like yesterday. Like it seemed it wouldn't, because it's too obvious for something to actually jump off on the 4th of July. However, we're not through the weekend. It just started. Kleck still has to fall from the sky like lightning, on the 7th of July, 7/7, Kleck's going to be falling from, he's going to skydive, and he's going to put his hands out like he's crucified, and at the same time, he's going to be lightning falling from heaven, and he's such a fraud, it's almost sickening. But then I have to realize that, hey, Kleck, Good job, man. You know, good job. You acted your way all the way to this point. I was trying to listen to you at one point, but then I realized planted YouTube agent, forget it, beat it. And then, so anyway, if you ever notice something, I don't think Kleck has ever talked about gang stalking. I'm not sure if Richie from Boston has ever said that he was gang stalked. I'm sure he probably did because he has to relate to us. So I'm willing to bet that Richie actually said something about gang stalking. Yeah, he did. That's right, because he said, hold on. He talked about the energy weapons being zapped by them. So he was pushing that. So yeah, he was, but I don't remember really saying the word gang stalking. He just said that he couldn't sleep and all that stuff. So I've never been zapped with anything. All right, this whole year and a half, they talk about energy weapons is making your head ring or ears ring or whatever. Nothing. All right. Nobody that I know of has ever come into my house while we were there. So you have videos on YouTube about people being zapped with directed energy weapons. You have videos about gang stalkers coming to your house, running you off the road. I can see the driving part, but what they do is they're almost like trained stuntmen. They have the ones that are good with their vehicle that try to cut you off or make you or ride your rear, and you just have to be aware of that, you know. But at the same time, when it comes to the rear, I don't even look back there. See my mirror? No. It's up there, you know. Because what happens is looking in your rearview mirror, it becomes a habit. And you get more distracted by looking in the rearview mirror. Now, if I want to look, you know, just if I need to see anybody, I can just look on each side. And so getting cut off the road never happened to me. But I'm not saying it doesn't happen to people. I'm just telling you my experience alone. This is my experience. Well, it's what me and my wife went through. And so we wanted to make sure that they had absolutely no chance to get into our house, because they were making it extremely overt, like obvious, and extremely covert to the rest of the family members, friends. It's completely covert. They're covering it up. They're covering the truth. Overt to us because it's obvious to us that they were doing it. And so it gave us a chance to really let things settle in, like, man, this is real, honey bun, you know? These freaking gang stalkers, when is this going to end, man? You know? And then we kind of just made it work. And that was exactly what we needed to go through. That whole year and a half period of learning about gang stalking for the first time, and then, well, hey, you know, it really is something about that year and a half trial and tribulation that I got to keep going through. Year and a half, 2 years, something like that, of certain situations that are unique and necessary to go through, because it's like something I don't know about, and then all of a sudden I dive right in, I start knowing everything about it, and then coming out on the other end defeating it. It's how long it takes. So as of yesterday, I said, I think it's time to step it up one more notch in life, which is freeing the mind of any kind of prison that you're putting yourself in. So in a sense, we were putting ourselves through a prison But it was discipline at the same time, because there was not one day that I wasn't home when I needed to get there, and she wasn't home when she needed to get there, and that nobody was guarding the house. It's just another, I'm not particularly applying for any kind of job, right? Because I'm not worried about getting paid, because the paid part isn't going to matter. It's not going to be, the money's not going to be the determining factor. But it's just another area that I put on my electronic resume, that time management, and I don't know, what would the other one be? Like, not a security guard, right? I mean, I get, well, technically I can, I can be a security guard too, because I secured what I was guarding, So me and my wife have the security guard under our belt. And so I was talking to her a couple days ago. I said, look, what, I know this stuff's gonna jump off soon, but whether it's literal, spiritual, only a portion of the people know about it and the majority of the world doesn't, who knows? Whatever happens here is going to happen. However, I think it's time for us to move on. What do you think? It's time for us to just go about our business now. We've proven our point. All right, we've locked down our house so nobody can get in. That's the best security that you can have, right? Always making sure somebody's there. I mean, how do you guard something without having anybody there? Well, you just kind of get a little system going on. Make sure you keep an eye on things. Now, I could be exposing myself. I can make it easier for the gang stalkers to do what they're doing to me, because I'm laying out what I'm doing. I'm laying out what I've done and what I'm going to continue to do, because I believe that my testimony about gang stalking is beneficial to people who are living in fear about it. I'm telling you, I never got zapped by shit. All right? Nothing. Ow, ow. It was, I'm telling you, nobody came into my house. And I'm telling you, they don't lay a finger on you. And that's the whole purpose of it. It's a mental game. It's mental. They watch you squirm around like a worm in dirt when they shake the ground. When they put a stick in there and rub it and the ground shakes. Speaking of that, oh God, from east to west, you know what I mean? New Zealand, earthquakes. Who's not going to start talking about it? That's right, Mr. Mouthpiece. He's not going to start talking about earthquakes, and they are going to start from east to west. They started June 15th from New Zealand. Now all of a sudden California, east to west. What happened in New Zealand on March 15th? That's right, the shooting of that church over there, Christ Church over there in New Zealand. From east to west, it continued on. London had happened, and then the last one that I remember hearing that dominated the news was the last time I said that the church shooting is going to dominate the news, and it's going to be a white supremacist with a revolver, and he's going to shoot up a church. And it's going to happen on April 27th, 2019. So that's exactly what happened. The last time that the church got shot up, that it made such big news, was on the west side of San Diego, California. So Paul Begley, again, still talking about it, just like I knew he would. And started in New Zealand, now it's over there in California. Just saying. Anyway, I could be making myself vulnerable by saying what I'm saying, and then they'll see, well, oh well, he has cameras now. Well, we're just gonna clip those too, Robin. Well, you have to get inside to clip those two, but they're not wired. So, however, you know, there is one thing that they can do, because this is the reason why I didn't get a system before. I said, what's the point? They're just gonna tap into the system and shut it down when they want to get in your house anyway. Or they just, you know how like it's a live feed and they'll just repeat it over and over? They can do that too. They can do that. And that's what I thought. I'm like, what's the point, man? He's freaking Gangstalked. Everybody works for the government anyway. But I had that in my mind at that time so I can go through what I went through by keeping my house secure. It is secure. It's still secure. I just now stepped off and have kept the house just as secure without me being there. Now I know that they can manipulate anything, any kind of, you know, the cameras that are in my house, but they get to watch me at the same time. I know that, and I know when I turn the camera off that it's still on in my house. So, hey, look, if it works, it works. All I know is so far, nobody went in my house because I've been monitoring it, you know, live. And that's the whole point. Once they know that you do have cameras, well, then they're not coming in. Duh! It's like, if you leave your bicycle unchained at the store and you go in Walmart, there's a possibility somebody might steal it. Now, if you lock your bike up, they're gonna have to go get bolt cutters, so you're making it difficult for them. So if they want to try to stop the time on my live feed and then make it a reoccurrence, right? Well, good luck, because I have a clock right there. Oh man, I have a clock right there that has the time on it, so I can still see. Wait a minute, is that reoccurring? Oh no, it's the exact time. This is fun, you know. It's fun now because I understand that. You know what? The weak-minded are the ones that cave. They are. They're the ones that collapse. So I'm just letting people know that here's the steps involved